In 2017, the results of an online Persona 5 popularity poll were revealed within the magazine Persona 5 Maniacs. Readers were asked questions relating to the game, such as, how many times have you finished Persona 5? Who is your favorite party member? What's your favorite persona? And under the question, who is your favorite confidant? Sitting dead last is Ichiko Ohya, gaining a grand total of 2 votes. So what's the problem with Ichiko Ohya? I personally never felt there was anything particularly egregious about her, but at the same time, there was something that always stopped me from ever spending time with her. Whenever I entered Shinjuku, the first thoughts that would always pop into my head was, should probably just go home. A concept that transcended the video game world into my weekly life. Browsing other players' opinions of Ichiko, you'll find that they also hold this contempt for her. Many people just never really wanted to interact with Ichiko, never wanted to spend their precious free time with her. There are 2 repeated sentiments that come up whenever Ichiko Ohya is discussed, which I'm going to cover now. The first being what she practically brings to your toolset. Befriending or possibly romancing Ichiko, if you're into that sort of thing, will grant you ways to manage your wanted level within Persona 5's dungeon sections. Being sloppy with your infiltrations, such as being spotted or hitting lasers, will increase your security level. If your security level hits 100, you'll be kicked out of the dungeon, forced to try again another day. Ichiko provides a passive buff that reduces the amount your security level will increase if you get spotted, as well as giving it a flat reduction after an in-game day. Completing all 10 social events with her practically removes the security level mechanic from the game. And that sounds good, but here lies a problem. It's only useful if you're actively bad at the game, and Persona 5 isn't very hard. Anyone with even a reasonable level of video game fortitude simply won't ever be in a position to fully utilize what Ichiko provides. With a bit of preparation, you can power through all but a few selected dungeons in a single go, meaning that you won't ever need her overnight dungeon security reduction service. Furthermore, you have other ways made available to you that assist in reducing a dungeon security level. Consumable items which are low cost to make, as well as the security level just naturally reducing when you defeat an enemy, provide immediate ways to manage your infiltration. I cannot stress enough how bad you would need to be at the game for Ichiko's abilities to make a significant impact on your gameplay. This is slightly rectified in Persona 5 Royale, as her abilities are given a minor alteration. Now they are active during gameplay, specifically whenever you arrive at a dungeon safe room. Doing this will reduce your security level, but again, as long as you're pretty good, you just won't ever come across a situation where her abilities are a game changer. All of this unfortunately means that the reward for going through Ichiko's confident rank just isn't worth the time investment. Gameplay wise, I mean. You might like her for other reasons, I don't know. You could instead spend your blooming adolescence with the cool goth clinic woman who gives you cheap healing items, or... oh well, no, that's just about it really. She's the best one. So the second aspect of Ichiko that is often discussed is, of course, her design. Comparing her to the other characters of Persona 5, she certainly stands out, and not in a positive way. Persona characters are known for being stylish, slender, and sharp. Ichiko lacks a certain dynamicism to her, coming across as plain when put next to the rest of the cast. Ichiko dons a white, long-sleeved shirt covered with a black shirt that says... Cow Kif? Oh, low life. I'm going to read that as cow life, along with some jeans and black and white shoes. The standout feature of her outfit is the orange sunglasses. According to her personal story in Persona 5, she is a paparazzo, writing articles on the recent ongoings revolving around Persona 5's plot, which would explain the camera permanently looped around her neck for her documentation of privacy invasions, as well as her pink fanny pack and the water bottle attached to her hip. These imply that she often needs to be in a position where she stays stationary for long periods of time and needs to keep things with her. She's simple, like she's not trying to be overly fashionable, but is still aware of what constitutes a style. It's practical, blending into the city rather than trying to stand out. You can look at her and see entertainment journalist who lives in Tokyo. And hey, people who wear sunglasses, regardless of the time and location, are pretty cool. But what doesn't do her any favors is her bob cut. At first glance, I assumed that she was wearing a motorcycle helmet, but no, that's just what she went into the barber and asked for. It's the smoothness. It covers her ears and makes it look weird, like a bowling ball. The deep color also blends the layers of her hair, making it really hard to grasp the perspective of the back and front of her hair, causing it to form that flat roundness. And I'm not saying that bob cuts look bad. Tay, for example, has a bob cut, albeit a messy one, and hers doesn't warrant the same reaction. It's because her bob is more textured and her bangs go down further, and the blue makes the shading stand out more. What I'm saying is, between these two women, I'm certain one of them has a pair of ears. Honestly, her hairstyle was something that put me off her. It lacked a flow that the other characters are given. It lacked an edginess, something that draws your eye along a wave rather than just slide off. These 2 points are the biggest that I think really stopped people from engaging with Ichiko. A kind of lackluster design and a pretty awful ability. But there's no special perfect version of Ichiko, or anyone for that matter. We just work with what we've got and try and do the best we can, and oh my god, that's what she was going to look like? Holy shit, that's a million fucking times better. That's someone I would go to Shinjuku for. That's someone I would stay in Shinjuku for. The elegance, the sexy business thing she's got going on, the messy hair. I love the detail of the headache patch. It really shows someone who's just swamped with long hours of work. The expression, the stance, the attitude. We can just imagine what kind of person this is. This is much better than what we got, and most importantly, she looks like she hates her job. So why did they change her design so much? I'm sure she would have gotten more than 2 votes if she looked like this. Well, in the Persona 5 art book, we're given a little insight into Ichiko's design. Originally, she was only touted as reporter, which would explain her disheveled, more weathered look, as well as her suit. Then the designers needed to think what kind of reporter she was going to be, either a photographer or a writer. This paragraph in the art book acknowledges that her design was rather inconsistent. I guess once they decided that she was going to lean more towards entertainment reporter than newsroom reporter, her final design came together. More casual and less formal, with Persona 5's director, Katsura Hashino, requesting that she look cuter, and also wouldn't have nostrils. I'm not really sure what they meant by that, because she does have nostrils. But the fact remains, a lot of people really like this old design. There are many fans out there who agree that these concepts of Ichiko were far superior than what we ended up with. You can find repeated discussions about how much better her original designs were, how players would have absolutely 100% romanced her if she looks like that. Why did people latch onto it? I think this desire to see the old design realized is just an infatuation of a possibility, because in a way, concept or beta designs can be seen as the most pure and unfiltered representation of a character, one free of meddling or changes to fit mass appeal, something that a character designer just let flow out of them. The results being an idealistic version that grabs your imagination and pulls you into a world of what-ifs and if-onlys and other wonderments. If only Ichiko looked like this. What if Death Note's Ryuk stayed as a twink? I wonder what Gokurakugai would have been like if it kept its original premise. If you didn't like Ichiko because of her bowl cut, a version of her without it would immediately just be more appealing. If there was anything else, you could just impose it on this version of her. The imagination that concept characters stimulate provide a step into envisioning a new way to express this character, and the world that they live in. My Hero Academia's Midoriya was originally a far moodier looking character, with his hair swept over one eye. This version of him has spawned a sub-fandom who enjoy exploring this Midoriya and expanding on his world, imagining how it might have shaped the story of My Hero Academia. Characters and the world are quite tightly interlinked. If one changes, it's going to affect another. If the world is dark and oppressive or light and fun, it will be reflected in the characters. Take for instance Danganronpa. Originally conceptualized as distrust, Danganronpa started its life as a far darker story. According to series creator Kazutaka Kodaka, Distrust was going to be straight up gruesome horror, featuring slicing, dicing, dismemberments, and red blood. This atmosphere Kodaka originally wanted to create was reflected in the characters. The cast lacked that signature fantasy flair that the Danganronpa series is known for. Instead, our involuntary death game participants were far more grounded, dulled with only a single pop of color to suggest individuality, as well for the most part resembling actual humans. Speaking of humans, Monokuma was originally designed as this funny little fellow here, missing half of his skin. Some people don't like this design. I like it. It fits into what Distrust was going to be. You can visualize the tone of Distrust really well from what little information we have from it. All of the horror, blood, and grime. And from there, imagine what we could have had. What would have a more mature Danganronpa looks like? Not one about super duper high school level fishmongers fighting the world's worst girl, but one devoid of humor and the fantastical, one grounded, real, brutal, and beautiful, a pure death game. But obviously we didn't get that, and we know why. Kodaka saying that the gore might be alienating to a larger audience, as well as the fear that these darker themes possibly taking away from what he wanted players to experience, resulting in the designs we see now. And I have something I want to say about the final designs of Danganronpa characters. I've been looking at Ichiko Ohya for a while now, really taking in everything that she presents, and it really just made me a bit melancholic. She's just an unfortunate victim of a lot of unlucky circumstances, beginning her life as a fine piece of tabloid journalism, before being reduced to a clickbait article, as well as being functionally bad, even with the updates to her abilities, meaning that many people are just going to gloss over her. But there is one more thing we can talk about with Ichiko, and that's who she is. Ichiko becomes approachable from June 23rd, found in the Crossroads bar in Shinjuku, where she often spends her time lamenting her misfortunes. Ichiko's personal story revolves around her old partner, who went missing a year prior to the story after murder accusations. Ichiko now devoting her spare time to exonerate and reunite with her old partner, something that she's getting nowhere with fast, until you come along. As you progress through her story, her personality begins to seep through, along with the smell of alcohol and smoke. Of course, due to the nature of her work and her general presentation, your relationship with her seems more transactional than the rest. Being a paparazzo, Ichiko has a naturally cultivated air of shadiness to her, thus making it harder to really know what part of her is genuine, along with her proclivity for irresponsible and self-destructive behavior, which she often threatens to drag you into, befitting of the one who represents the devil arcane. These personality quirks might be off-putting to some of us during the getting to know period. But break through that and spend enough time with her and you'll find that Ichiko is also inquisitive and intuitive. She has integrity and an impressive intolerance against injustice. And with all those eyes, you can easily see that she is a good person, who just needs help. And isn't that what the Phantom Thieves are there for? I understand that this being a game means that, as a player, we want some kind of tangible benefit for our investment. But sometimes a nice story with a good person is a reward in itself. In that survey where Ichiko got 2 pitiful votes, that small group of people provided reasons for their fondness of her. She was praised by one person as being straightforward, and another person, calling themselves curry bread, just said, good. If you're wondering why there are 3 comments but only 2 votes, one is the editorial staff. They said that they felt a connection to her when she stays up all night. And that makes sense. A 38-year-old editor would also have a lifetime of experience staying up late, either from work or trying to reclaim some kind of semblance of freedom from long hours. This editor found something in Ichiko that they felt that they could relate to, in a special way, unlike anyone else has. Not that they liked her appearance or thought she provided something invaluable to the game, but because of a shared experience. And I think that's what it means to really like a character, finding a particular small thing that you can relate to. The desire to change a character is wanting to have that relatability. With beta characters, something that isn't final, you can make that relatability anything you want it to be, because nothing is really set. This isn't Ichiko. It's a lump of clay I could spend a month and a half molding into whatever I want, and fantasize of a time where I meet a woman in a bar who likes lemon sours and taking photos of stickers. What would it have been like to have someone like that in Persona 5? It's harder for a finalized character because you can't just impose those falsities onto them. Well, I can't anyway. If I can't find something that appeals to me, the only thing I can do is wish that they were someone else, and agree that the thing I didn't like would have been better if it was more like the things I do like. I can't help but feel a little bit bad for Ichiko. She's a character seemingly defined by how she could have and should have been better. But that editor liked her, so she might be fine then.